Monday night, the Emirates Stadium, 80,000 eyes locked on every touch of the ball. Arsenal versus Burnley, not just 3 points. Potentially the beginning of the end of a title. Wait, that has stretched for over 20 years. Right now, today, as you are watching this video, Arsenal sit top of the Premier League with 79 points. Manchester City sit 2 points behind them with 77. 2 games each remaining. The mathematics are brutally simple. Win both and the title belongs to Arsenal. No arguments, no what-ifs, done. But here is what makes this moment so razor sharp. Monday night comes first. Burnley at the Emirates. And while most people expect Arsenal to handle that game, the pressure of a title race has a way of making simple things complicated. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, one slip, and suddenly the entire conversation changes. Then comes Tuesday night, Bournemouth versus Manchester City. And that game could change everything before Arsenal even face Crystal Palace on the final day. The clock is running, the players know it, the manager knows it, and every single Arsenal fan on the planet knows it. This is the moment. And everything happening around this club right now feeds directly into whether Arsenal lift that trophy or watch it slip away again. The reality for Arsenal right now is that they sit at the top of the Premier League table with 79 points from 36 games. Manchester City sits second with 77 points, also from 36 games. Arsenal have a 2-point lead. If Arsenal win their final 2 games, the title is theirs. It does not matter what Manchester City do. That is the position Mikel Arteta's side find themselves in. But the tension, the nerves, the emotions surrounding this club at this moment is absolutely real. And everything I'm going to walk you through today feeds directly into that picture. If you want this level of detailed, independent analysis every single day during the most important weeks in Arsenal's recent history, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join the Melissa Arsenal analyst community. Every update, every breakdown, every transfer story, every tactical detail right here on this channel. Now let us get into it. Jurrien Timber arrives at training. AFTV, the account AFTV, posted a tweet with an image showing Jurrien Timber arriving at Arsenal's Sobha Realty training centre. The caption read, "Burnley will come too soon, but could we see Timber get some minutes against Crystal Palace and be ready for the Champions League final?" Now, let me give you my analysis on that. This is massive news for Arsenal. Timber has been absent, and his return to the training ground is a signal that his recovery is progressing. The suggestion here is that the Burnley game on Monday night comes too early for him, which makes sense given the care and caution that should surround a player returning from a serious setback. But the Crystal Palace game on the final day of the season and above all the Champions League final, those are the targets. If Timber can feature even briefly against Palace, it gives him match sharpness ahead of what could be the biggest night in Arsenal's recent history. Do not underestimate how important this update is for Arsenal's options going into that final. Jurrien Timber back in training. Arsenal Zone confirmed it officially. Timber is back in training. The tweet also included a quote from Wesley Sneijder, made a few weeks earlier, which said, "Everybody with an Arsenal heart hopes Timber will be back and recover for the final. Otherwise, it is going to be very hard for them." My analysis on this, Sneijder's words carry weight because they reflect a genuine tactical reality. Timber's versatility, his defensive quality and his ability to operate in multiple positions make him a genuinely difficult player to replace. The fact that he is now back on the training pitch means Arteta has options he did not have before. Whether he is ready for the Champions League final remains to be seen, but his presence back at the training centre is the first step. And for an Arsenal squad preparing for 2 Premier League games and a European final, any positive injury news right now is enormous. Eberechi Eze and his dream. Arsenal News Hub shared quotes from Eberechi Eze. He said, "Since I first understood football, my dream has always been to win a trophy with Arsenal." He also admitted that being just 2 matches away from major silverware has become emotional and very difficult to stop thinking about. He added, "Every time I think about it, I lose sleep. I just want that day to come." Now, here is my take on this. These words from Eze are not just emotional content for social media. They tell you something important about the mentality inside the Arsenal camp right now. This is a player who is deeply motivated, who understands the weight of this moment, and who is channeling that emotion in a very human way. Losing sleep over the possibility of winning a trophy is not weakness. It is evidence of how much this means to these players. And that emotional investment, when directed correctly by a manager like Arteta, becomes fuel, it becomes intensity on the pitch. Eze is not just a talented footballer. In this moment, he represents every Arsenal fan who has been waiting for this for so long. Arteta on Monday's game against Burnley. Arsenal radar Arteta was quoted speaking about the fact that Monday's game is at home. He said, "It is the schedule that we have. Obviously, it has been extremely demanding from the beginning. The team has coped with that in a really fantastic way. There is no other choice. We have the opportunity and our supporters." He then added, "It is going to be a Monday night. Let us take it in a really positive way. Hopefully we do something incredible with our supporters. We can replicate any of that." My analysis here, what I find very interesting about Arteta's words is what he chooses not to say as much as what he does say. He is not panicking about the schedule. He is not complaining about playing on a Monday night. Instead, he is reframing it. He is turning a potential inconvenience into an opportunity. The phrase, "hopefully we do something incredible with our supporters," tells you that Arteta is thinking about atmosphere, about energy, about the Emirates being a fortress on that night. A manager who frames things this way keeps his players relaxed and focused at the same time. That is leadership under pressure. Arteta on the squad's mental state. Arsenal News Channel, Arteta spoke further about the focus within the squad. He said, "The team is really present. It is just living the moment. It is emotionally in a really good state. I think it is the right one. We have most players available now. We lost Ben White the other day, but the other ones are coming back as well. Everybody is so enthusiastic and so positive about the way that we can finish the season. Here is what that tells me." Arteta is managing information carefully here. He acknowledges losing Ben White, which is a real blow given how important White has been. But he immediately pivots to the positive news. Other players returning, high enthusiasm, emotional readiness. A manager who is honest about the setbacks but refuses to let them define the narrative is a manager in control of his environment. The squad's emotional state heading into these final games looks strong based on everything Arteta is communicating. Martin Keown compares Arteta to Wenger. Arsenal Muse, former Arsenal defender Martin Keown, speaking on HBO, said of Arteta, when he came into the job, he had a lot of things to resolve. He cleaned out the squad, he changed the culture. Keown then added, with Wenger, it was about a total belief. And I think I have seen him this season show incredible belief in his players, a lot of love. My analysis on this comparison, Martin Keown is not someone who throws compliments around lightly. He was part of one of the greatest Arsenal defences ever assembled, and he understands what it takes to build a winning culture at this club. For him to draw a parallel between Arteta and Arsene Wenger is significant. What Keown is identifying is not just results, he is identifying culture change. Arteta came in and made difficult decisions. He moved players on, he brought in a new identity. And now at the end of this season, with a Premier League title within reach and a Champions League final on the horizon, the evidence of that work is undeniable. Whether Arteta eventually reaches the legendary status of Wenger is a longer conversation. But what Keegan is saying is that the foundations are the same. Belief, culture, love for the players, that matters enormously. Arteta on Spanish coaches in the Premier League, Arsenal radar. Arteta was asked about the influence of Spanish coaches in English football. He said, "I think the contribution comes first from the opportunity given by this country, this league, to a lot of foreign managers to fulfill a dream and to give them the chance to do what they love the most in the best league in the world, in my opinion." He also said, "Sometimes it works and sometimes it does not. But I think we are very grateful, especially the way we get treated here and the opportunity that we are given." What I take from this, Arteta is showing humility and perspective here. At a moment when the entire football world is watching him and his team, he pauses to acknowledge the opportunity he has been given. That kind of grounded thinking is a sign of a manager who is not getting carried away. He understands where he comes from. He understands that nothing was guaranteed. And that grounded mentality at the top of the table, with 2 games to go and a European final ahead, is exactly the kind of mindset that wins things. Arteta on team focus, Arsenal Buzz shared the same core Arteta quote about the team being present, emotionally, in a good state, and most players being available. He confirmed again that losing Ben White hurts, but that others are returning, and the overall mood is very positive. My point here is simple. The consistency of Arteta's messaging across multiple media appearances tells you this is not spin. He is repeating the same things because they are true. The squad is ready. The mood is good. Ben White's absence is the one shadow over an otherwise optimistic picture. Premier League proposed rule change, fan Arsenal team. This one is important and potentially controversial. Fan Arsenal team reported that the Premier League has proposed a major rule change. Under the new proposal, if a club breaks financial regulations, they will no longer face automatic punishment. Instead, they can sit down and negotiate a settlement with the league. The plan is set to be voted on next month. Now, I need to be precise here because this is a serious topic. This is what has been reported, and I am giving you my analysis of it. The timing of this proposal is something that will not be lost on anyone following English football closely. Manchester City are currently facing a historic number of charges related to alleged financial rule breaches. The suggestion that clubs could now negotiate softer outcomes rather than face automatic consequences is one that raises very serious questions about the integrity of the process. I am not here to make legal judgments, but I will say this clearly. Any change to disciplinary rules that reduces the severity of consequences for financial misconduct undermines the trust of every club that has operated within those rules. Arsenal fans and fans of every other Premier League club have every right to demand transparency on this matter and to watch closely what happens when that vote takes place next month. Official Premier League title race graphic. The official Premier League account posted the current standings. Arsenal sit first with 79 points. Manchester City sits second with 77 points. Both clubs have played 36 games. Arsenal host Burnley on Monday at 8 o'clock in the evening. Manchester City travel to Bournemouth on Tuesday at 7:30 in the evening. This is the clearest picture of where things stand. 2 points separate these clubs. Arsenal control their own destiny. Win the next 2 games and the title is Arsenal's. It is that straightforward. The pressure is real, but it is also a privilege. This is the position every Arsenal fan dreamed of seeing their club in. Now the players have to deliver. Fabio Vieira, transfer update, Fan Arsenal team. Fan Arsenal team reported that negotiations are ongoing between Arsenal and Hamburger SV over making Fabio Vieira's loan move permanent. Hamburger SV hold a purchase option of €22 million, but consider that figure too expensive. They are now in talks with Arsenal to agree a lower transfer fee. Let me be clear. This is an ongoing negotiation. Nothing is confirmed. What we know is that Hamburger SV want to keep Vieira, but not at the original price. Arsenal will need to decide whether to accept a lower fee or whether there is a place for Vieira back at the club. Given the attacking talent already at Arsenal and the transfer activity likely planned for the summer, selling Vieira at a reasonable price would make sense from a squad management perspective. But this one is still moving. Watch this space. Miles Lewis-Skelly and midfield recruitment analysis. The Football Era posted a detailed analytical piece. The argument made was that before Miles Lewis-Skelly emerged, Arsenal needed a specialist build-up midfielder to complement Declan Rice, the type of player who could receive with his back to goal, turn in 360 degrees, progress the ball between the lines through passing and be press resistant even with some defensive trade-offs. The account suggested Adam Wharton had been a first-choice target for that role. However, the piece then argued that Lewis-Skelly now fills that profile at Arsenal. The next step, therefore, is signing a midfielder who blends the qualities of both Rice and Lewis-Skelly, someone highly technical, capable of progressing through both passing and carrying, press-resistant, a solid defensive reader of the game, a decent dueler and a strong space coverer. The name put forward was Mateus Fernandes from West Ham. My analysis: this is a genuinely thoughtful breakdown of Arsenal's midfield needs. The emergence of Lewis-Skelly has been one of the stories of the season, and if he truly fills that build-up role, then Arsenal's recruitment priorities shift meaningfully. Mateus Fernandes is a name that keeps appearing in Arsenal conversations, and the logic of why he fits is becoming clearer with each passing week. He is young, technically excellent, and plays in a style that complements what Arsenal are building. This is a rumour and a suggestion at this stage, not a confirmed target. But the analysis of why he would fit is compelling. Arsenal linked with Federico Valverde. Fan Arsenal team reported that Arsenal are significant admirers of Real Madrid midfielder Federico Valverde. The 27-year-old Uruguayan has also been closely monitored by Chelsea and Manchester City, while Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich have tracked him in recent seasons. However, Real Madrid currently have no intention of selling Valverde this summer. I need to be completely clear on this one. This is a rumour. Arsenal are described as admirers. There is no negotiation, no bid, no confirmed interest beyond monitoring. And critically, Real Madrid do not want to sell. So while Valverde is clearly one of the most complete midfielders in European football right now, the reality is that this story is very far from becoming anything concrete. Filing it away as background noise is the right approach for now. Screenshot 14, Gabby Agbon-Lahore recommends Mateus Fernandes. Arsenal news channel. Former Aston Villa striker Gabby Agbon-Lahore spoke on talkSPORT and recommended that Arsenal sign West Ham's Mateus Fernandes in the summer. He said Fernandes is a top midfielder. West Ham will be dying to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, that will not keep him. He then added, I think he is a better player than Zubimendi. I really do. Lewis Skelly has taken his place now. But to add numbers and strengthen, I would sign Fernandes. I think he could have his pick of Premier League clubs. I rate him highly. My take on this, Agbon-Lahore's endorsement adds another voice to the growing chorus around Fernandes. What is interesting here is that he specifically compares Fernandes favourably to Zubimendi, a player who was heavily linked with Arsenal not long ago. He also makes the point about Lewis Skelly taking on a bigger role, which aligns with the football-era analysis from the previous screenshot. When multiple independent voices start pointing at the same player from different angles, it is worth paying close attention. This remains a rumour, but the noise around Fernandes and Arsenal is getting louder. Denzel Dumfries release clause update, Fan Arsenal team. Fan Arsenal team reported that Inter Milan right-back Denzel Dumfries is set to have a €25 million release clause written into his contract. This clause would be active for the entire month of July. The Dutch international is attracting Premier League interest, with Arsenal named among the clubs linked ahead of the summer window. My analysis, a €25 million release clause for an established international right-back is an extremely attractive figure in today's market. With Ben White's long-term availability now uncertain following his injury, the right-back position is one Arsenal will need to address. Dumfries is experienced at the highest level, having performed consistently for both Inter Milan and the Dutch national team. If this release clause is confirmed, it creates a genuine opportunity that Arsenal and other Premier League clubs will almost certainly consider seriously. This is still a rumour at this stage, but the details here are specific enough to suggest this story has substance. Watch how this develops through the summer. Paul Merson and his strange feeling. Now, let us talk about what Paul Merson said, because it is worth examining carefully. Merson stated very clearly that he cannot see Manchester City winning the title from here. He said he simply does not believe Arsenal will drop points, but then he added something specific. He said he has a strange feeling that the Bournemouth versus Manchester City game will end as a draw. His reasoning was that Bournemouth are a very underrated team who play some good football. Here is my analysis of that. If Merson is right and that game ends in a draw, Arsenal could be confirmed as Premier League champions on Tuesday night without even kicking a ball themselves. That would be an extraordinary situation. Arsenal play Burnley on Monday. If they win that game and then City fail to beat Bournemouth on Tuesday, the title goes to Arsenal. Now, Merson's prediction is exactly that, a prediction. But the logic behind it is sound. Bournemouth have had a strong season. They are not a team that simply rolls over for anyone, including Manchester City. And City, fresh from winning the FA Cup, will need to refocus quickly for a midweek away fixture. That is a significant mental and physical demand. The possibility of Arsenal winning the title before their final game against Crystal Palace is real, and every Arsenal fan should be aware of that. Bernardo Silva. After the FA Cup, Bernardo Silva spoke after Manchester City defeated Chelsea to win the FA Cup at Wembley. He helped his team win yet another trophy, but Silva was honest about the title race. He said it would mean a lot, it is not in our hands. So our job is to, on Wednesday, do our job and put a bit of pressure on them to make them win the game, to be champions. But we are in a tough position. What Silva's words tell me is this. Manchester City know the situation. They are not pretending they are favourites. Silva is acknowledging openly that Arsenal are in control. His focus is on winning their own game and hoping Arsenal slip up. As Merson pointed out, there is very little evidence to suggest Arsenal will slip up. Arsenal have been consistent and determined throughout this run-in. City's best hope is that the pressure of the moment affects Arsenal psychologically. But with Arteta'S messaging being as calm and controlled as it has been all week, that psychological pressure does not appear to be landing. Closing analysis and final thoughts. So let us bring all of this together, because when you look at everything happening around Arsenal right now, a picture emerges that is genuinely exciting. On the pitch, Arsenal lead the Premier League by 2 points with 2 games remaining. They control their own destiny completely. Win both and the title is theirs regardless of what City do. Arteta'S squad is in a strong emotional state. Most players are available. Ben White is the significant injury concern, but others are returning. And most importantly, Jurrien Timber has been seen back at the training centre and is back in training. His possible return for the Crystal Palace game and the Champions League final would be a huge boost. Off the pitch, the transfer picture is beginning to take shape. Fabio Vieira's permanent transfer to Hamburger SV is being negotiated with a lower fee likely to be agreed. Arsenal are linked with Mateus Fernandes from West Ham, with multiple credible voices pointing to him as an ideal midfield addition. Federico Valverde from Real Madrid is admired by Arsenal, but Real Madrid have no intention of selling, so that one is very unlikely to go anywhere this summer. Denzel Dumfries of Inter Milan has a €25 million release clause active in July, and Arsenal are among the clubs linked, which makes sense given the uncertainty around the right-back position. On the broader football politics side, the proposed Premier League rule change that would allow clubs to negotiate settlements rather than face automatic punishment for financial rule breaches is something every Arsenal fan and every football fan should monitor very carefully. That vote is coming next month. And through all of this, the manager stands at the centre of everything. Arteta is calm, he is clear, he is grateful for the opportunity, he is focused on the task. And according to Martin Keown, one of Arsenal's greatest ever defenders, what Arteta has built at this club echoes what Arsene Wenger once built. That is not a comparison that gets made lightly. Arsenal are 2 games away from the Premier League title. They are preparing for a Champions League final. Their injured players are returning. Their squad is emotionally ready. And their manager is exactly where he needs to be mentally. This is not the time for nerves. This is not the time for doubt. The evidence, all of it, points in one direction. Arsenal are ready. And if you want to follow every development of this incredible moment in Arsenal's history right here on Melissa Arsenal Analyst, then subscribe now, turn on notifications, share this video with every Arsenal fan you know, because what is about to happen could be something none of us ever forget. Thank you for watching. I am Melissa, and this is Arsenal's moment.